Where is that used tech? Yes, Bogan is coming back, guys, and we are looking for some used price performance, mate. That's the cue for me to go look at the deals where I've checked them out already, and this month, unexpectedly, could be a decent month for used parts. Now, it's the last day of the month, and I don't have another chance to do this. This is the first parts hunt for 2021. Let's make it a special. And first of all, check out what we've already booked up in terms of looking through good old Gumtree and Facebook. And on this month's agenda, I was surprised. We've found a lot of graphics cards already, believe it or not. I thought graphics cards would just be all snapped up. But at least in Australia, the whole cryptocurrency boom thing where I'm at hasn't really taken on too much, which is a good thing because that means all the GPUs aren't being bought up as much as they're being bought up for you guys over in the United States, for example. So put those used price performance capes on and don't worry, I haven't gone anywhere. Of course we're gonna keep looking for deals. This is Tech Yeah City. And strap on in and let's get those deals.
If you've got this annoying Windows needs activation message and you want to get rid of it for cheap, then today's video sponsor SCD Keys has you covered. For as little as $14, after you use the coupon code BFTYC, you can get yourself a legit single end user Windows 10 license today. Links in the description below.
So after searching high and low and looking at what's been going on in the market recently, I have to actually up my prices and bids on used graphics cards by around 20 to 25%. That's the buffer I have to give here. And that's mainly because even if I look on the retail sites for new graphics cards, say for instance a GTX 1650 Super, that's gone up pretty much in accordance by the same amount of value. So you have to look at the new market and also vice versa as well. Look at the used market and get the indicators from both to see where the pricing should be at. And at the moment, it looks like used graphics cards, unfortunately, I have to bid about 20 to 25% more than what I'm used to bidding on these GPUs. So first up here, messages that have come back to me and accepted my offers. That means we're going to be going and picking up these GPUs very soon, as well as some other parts. We've got two GTX 980s here. These are the Asus Strix models. And we scored, well, we're gonna score them for 450 Aussie dollars for two of them. So that's 225 each. They look like they're in really good condition. And then we've got a Ryzen 3 3100. They're asking 130 Aussie, but I put in just a little $10 shave here, and we're gonna get this for 120 Aussie. And that comes with a cooler. It's pretty much brand new. So when you can get something at 75% of retail, that's the cheapest price you can find it for brand new, then that's an easy deal on new parts. And they've also got the warranty paper as well, like the receipt. So no risk at all with that deal. And then we've got an interesting one where there's 32 gigabytes of DDR4 ECC. Now the reason this is cheap is because I'm guessing a lot of people don't know what to do with ECC, even if it's registered or not, especially on the DDR4 side. But because we've worked with those X99 Wanon boards in the past, we know that we can get the cheap DDR4 and use it and then smash up the spec sheet, especially if we're gonna flip a gaming PC. We've now got 16 gigabytes, for instance, for only 40 Aussie dollars. So they were asking 90, I shaved off 10, they've accepted, we're gonna go pick that up. And then looking through a different listing, I saw there was a few different parts for sale. GTX 1080 for 500 Aussie dollars. I'm kind of gonna give that a miss, but within that listing, there was a GTX 770, which I've offered 50 Aussie dollars for, and they've accepted that. So that looks like it's a pretty good price for that point. And then the last GPU that I've put an offer in for and they've accepted is an R9 270 for $50. So these are the deals that we're gonna jump into the Yesmobile pickup very soon, but we've also in that meantime put in a heap of different offers for things like GTX 1066 gigabytes. I'm throwing down about 200 Aussie dollars a piece for those. I found some GTX 1070 Ti's. I've also found an i7 desktop, a HP desktop that looks like it's pretty good. I could repurpose this and maybe find like a GTX 1050 Ti and I'd have a good flip on my hands, but I've got to wait for all those people to get back to me. So let's go hit the road and also go see Les on the way up because he's close to all these deals and see what we can muster up here for this used PC parts hunt.
5:15, that's it, man, you know, Leslie.
Okay, alright dude, well I'll be up, like I'm on my way up there now. I'll see if there's any deals to pick up on the way. But it should be around 3:30 to 4.
All good, mate.
Alright, cool, Les, I'll see you soon, brother. Alright, catch it.
Nah, you probably think I'm just.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Honestly, dude, I haven't had a break like this in a long time where I just fucking just watch some TV and relax, went out for dinner. Yeah, I finally just lived with it. Yeah, I actually lived the life of it, eh? So, call it earlier, eh? It's like really this month. So we just picked up the two GTX 980s. These look like they were the Asus Strix versions as well. So generally when it comes to Strix, you pay a little bit of a premium. And again, as I said before in the intro, we're paying about 20 to 25% more for GPUs this month generally. So I picked up 980s in the past for around 180 Aussie. So me paying about 225 a pop, considering there's two of them and they look like they're in really good nick. I'm pretty happy with that deal. I mean, it's the max I would pay for a 980. So the fact that it was a Asus Strix and we hit that ballpark with two of them, I'm pretty happy. Next up though, we already stopped off at Les's as well, and we paid a little bit over half a G for 5 monitors, and I think we got 7 PCs. Like these are the bottom of the barrel sort of entry-level gaming PCs that we chuck graphics cards into. So we did pretty well with that score, but we'll show that when we get back to the studio and sort of do a recap after we've picked up some deals. Next up now, we're gonna go pick up this R7, I think it's R7 270. And that's around the corner for 50 Aussie dollars. So we're gonna go get that now. Then we got some other deals. And also GTX 1060 has come back to us. GTX 1060's come back and they said they would take 200 Aussie as well for that 1066 gigabytes. So we got some good deals, man. We just gotta go get them now. Let's continue on.
So where's the other guy? Can you just...
1060.
So we just finished up with all the deals here, except a GTX 1060 has come up, a 6 gigabyte. So we're gonna go pick that up now. Hopefully that all pulls through. At 200 Aussie dollars, I'm okay with that. We picked up after Les's and the 980s, we then went and got the R9 or R7 270. And we also picked up the RAM, the 32 gigabytes of ECC memory, and the Ryzen 3 3100. So we're in a pretty good spot right now. We've got a heap of good deals in the trunk. And this last deal, this is weird. You're probably like, Brian, why are you filming in like a kind of like a bush here? Because it's Australia. Besides Australia and the bushland, we're at this place and the guy sent me to his address, and then I messaged him and then knocked on his door. And I've been waiting here for about 15 minutes now. The guy has not replied. He has not answered his door, and there are cars like parked at the place. So I mean, I hope everything's okay in this place, but sometimes that happens. But the good thing is that we've done the deals so that they're all close, like all the clusters. If a deal is like 1.5 hours away from all the other deals, I generally don't bother with it, because when you're on the road, you do run the risk of someone ghosting you effectively. And this is the second time I've been ghosted on a deal, so it does happen. Have you ever, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, back in the day we used to get our push bikes and we'd roll them down, then we'd jump off the bike and it'd keep going. That was called a ghostie. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the guy who set this deal up's just around the corner on a hill and he's got his push bike ready to go. Who knows? Let's go get this GTX 1060 though and see what's up. And we just picked up our last deal right now. This is 8 gigabytes of memory DDR4. We got this for $30 and you're like, where's the 1060? I'm thinking that's the same question I got asking myself. Where is the 1060? The guy, he messaged me and he's like, oh, I'll let you know when I'm free. And I'm kind of like, well, man, I'm up that way, like about 50 minutes from my home, and you're around that area. Sorry, just got to reopen the door and get the light back on. If we're up that way, then it's kind of good if I just get the part while I'm up there. So we'll have to miss that deal because I'm not driving all the way back up there to get that deal again. But this guy messaged me back on the way home. We got the 8 gigabytes of DDR4 for cheap. Chuck that in the kitty, and that pretty much marks it for all the parts here that we've picked up so far. Let's get home to the Tech Yes studio and unpack all this stuff right here. And now we are finally back here at the Tech Yes studio, and we've got the first deal. Of course, we got the Les stuff. We'll get onto that last, but we got the first deal we picked up here was the GTX 980 Strix editions. They're looking mighty fine. Great GPU. I'm definitely going to get some mileage out of those. And then after that, we got an R7, R9, I think it's like R9 270, and then they called it the R7 370. So yeah, it went down from like a 9 to a 7, even though it's pretty much the same GPU. That's why I think I get confused with that. But there's 3 graphics cards that we desperately need. I did have, it was funny, on the way back home, driving back home, someone messaged me saying, oh, I've got the 10th, because I actually inquired about quite a few graphics cards this parts hunt. I sent out a heap of feelers. And so 2 people will sell me a GTX 1060 6GB. One guy just doesn't know when he's going to be home yet, and it's like already 8:30 p.m. on Sunday night. And then the other guy messaged me back on like I was already practically home, and he's up in Brisbane as well. So there's 2 deals that are about an hour drive from me for GTX 1060s. And I'm like, well, I wish they messaged me earlier, because there would have been 2 1060s sitting here as well, which I do need. I'm going to be honest. I do need those 1060s. But we got this right here, Ryzen 3 3100. Always good when you can pick up a brand new CPU at 75% of retail. So that was a good pickup. We had the DDR4 memory, 32 gigabytes of this stuff, ECC. So 80 Aussie dollars. That is a bargain considering we're getting 8 gigabytes at $20 a stick. Then we got an 8 gigabyte stick here. That was the last deal we picked up at $30 a stick. And the person who met me for the 32 gigabytes of DDR4 ECC, they gave me some DDR3. They're like, you need some DDR3? I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure, thanks, man. And they said they watched the channel, and they were like, when's the next parts hunt coming out, man? My response was, this is the next parts hunt. So we got that all there on the table, and this one right here, Les, he threw that in as a sweetener with one of the PCs. So we'll get onto these PC cases soon, because we got this one here. Les gave this to us for free because I did have a faulty Z210 that I just could not get going the other month. And he's like, look, just have it on the house. So Les does guarantee his stuff. I really like that. So that one was kind of, even though it was free, it was kind of, we paid for it last month. Then we've got these right here, these Dell Precisions. They've got like 1st gen 4 cores in them. And he's like, I asked Les how much he wants. He was like 80 a pop. I'm like, man, I ain't paying $80 for a 1st gen. Like, no way. So we got these for 50 a pop, and he did chuck in 12 gigabytes of RAM. So I am going a little bit stricter on 1st gen stuff, because again, when I sell this stuff, I'm then guaranteeing it, and I got to carry the risk and I've got to give a guarantee. So $50 a pop, that's factoring in that this stuff is old, and if I'm getting mileage out of it, then I've got to take that risk on. So that's where the premium, should I say the lack of premium for these 1st gens is coming in, and I'm picking them up for cheap. So, I mean, in terms of what they've got inside, they've got like X55 50s and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they're just 4-core, 4-threaded CPUs. And then he has chucked in, I did make sure he chucked in 12 gigabytes of RAM, because that's the deal sealer for me. If I'm selling a budget rig and it's got 12 gigabytes of RAM, it's good to go. Then that motherboard that we saw before, that Z270 and that power supply, the 650 watt, he chucked them in with this deal here for $100, because it said there right up on the top of the deal, Intel Mobo. I'm just like, dude, believe it or not, these 3rd gen and 2nd gen Intel motherboards, especially if they're H61s, they carry a lot of risk in that they might not work with newer GPUs. And because the Intel BIOSes are now down from the website, it's really hard to get these things to update to the real latest BIOS to support GPUs that work outside of that secure boot. So I told him, look, man, this could be a real risk and a real pain that I'm not willing to take, in that if I'm paying $100, I want something else thrown in with that. So he said, all right, sure. And the power supply inside this thing is also garbage, by the way. It's like some budget 300 watt power supply that doesn't have anything. So the best I can do with this is like literally chuck in a GTX 1050, which I don't have, and make a gaming PC out of that. So
there was that one. That was the sort of weird one out of the bunch, whereas opposed to these Dells, they're actually pretty solid in that they got good power supplies and you can chuck in graphics cards and you're good to go. This one right here, these were the other $200 options. They've got a Zeus motherboard, so as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, you get your $100 for the whole deal here. So they got half decent cases. I'll be able to give these a bit of tech yes loving, clean them up. They got 3rd Gen i5s, 8 gig of RAM. We just need to chuck the graphics cards inside and we are good to go. And then last up here, we've got the Xeon. So the person I picked up the ECC memory off, he's like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, Brian, I pulled all this out of like a server rack. 32 gigabytes. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? If you got to get that hustle in, you got to get that hustle. So I just told him, I was like, well, he's like, look, do you want the rest of this thing? There's a Xeon in there. I'm like, okay, there's a Xeon in there? So it's a V6 Xeon. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, yes, please, I will take that. Now, funny thing is, though, if you want to get this working in the gaming PC, I'm pretty sure with the V6 Xeons, you need a special motherboard to get that working. It won't work on a retail motherboard. So we're going to pop that open and then find out what's inside, what actual Xeon's inside and what motherboard we need for that and see if we can do anything with that. And then the last piece of the puzzle was the monitors here, and we got 5 of these in total for $170. So 2 of them are 24 inches or 23 inches, and then 3 of them are 22 inches. So all in all, I have picked up stuff I need. Graphics cards though, still being the main problem. We're gonna show you guys a quick tally, but I think what we'll do is we'll quickly pull out the CPU in here. So you guys are probably as curious as I am to find out what's inside this thing. We just got an E3 1220 V5, which I'm pretty sure is a 6400 equivalent, i5 6400 equivalent. We got a motherboard, a power supply, and a PCI Express slot here, 16X. Is anyone thinking what I'm thinking? We have just stumbled onto the server rack gaming PC. We are going to be alleviating people's price performance problems in 2021. And after all is said and done, we've got a grand tally here of 1,350 Aussie dollars, coming in at close to 1K USD. And we've got potentially 7 gaming PCs. We've got 3 graphics cards. So in order to fill the quota of these gaming PCs, we're gonna need another 3 or 4 graphics cards. So graphics cards, obviously the biggest thing going forward. Looking for them any way you can is gonna be one thing that I'm going to be on the lookout, especially if I want to put the gaming PCs together. But some of the other deals that we got, that Xeon, I don't know, that got given to me with the ECC memory, that whole rack. The person was cleaning it out and they said, look, I got this rack that I'm actually going to chuck out. Do you want it? And I'm like, as soon as I see like anything, as soon as I hear the word Xeon, curiosity like is dinging off the charts, ding, ding, ding. And I'm pretty much, all right, let's take this home. And now that we've got it here, I'm pretty certain that we can do something in the realm of a gaming PC on a server rack. So wait for it, fellas, wait for it. It's coming. That's my most exciting pickup, which came from just, it's so weird. And this is the weird thing about parts hunts. And this is why I think in ways it's so exciting every month. You just don't know what's gonna happen. You put in a bid for some ECC DDR4 memory and you end up coming home with a whole server rack with a 4-core Xeon inside and the memory, and some DDR3 memory as well. I absolutely love this stuff. Like, it's just cool. And then you're sitting there and you're scratching your head and you're like, what can I do with this? And then it all comes together like magic. And I can already see the video. The video is going to be epic. I can already see that. I can already see the title, the thumbnail, and I can already see the performance, which is going to be pretty damn good too. We just got to find the graphics card for it, the right one. So I'm going to be on the lookout for that. So stay tuned for that video. But other than that, the GTX 980s, the Strix editions, I'm happy to drop a bit more on them because I think anywhere in the world, people go crazy for Strix graphics cards. They just do. I found whenever I've sold a PC with an Asus Strix, I can not only market that, but people see that and they're like, If they show their friend, they're like, oh, friend's like, oh man, it's got an Asus Strix in it. You got to get that. So there's that. I mean, to be honest, the cards are really, Asus Strix models are really good. So it all works hand in hand to make an epic gaming PC. But other than that, the Z270 that Les chucked in with another PC, that Intel Mobo, like 6th and 7th gen at the moment is really off my radar. So like, I'll probably just try and flip that motherboard itself for 50 bucks or something like that, because I'm looking around for i7 7700s and 6700s, and I've harped on about this in the last few months of last year, and I've spoken about why I just don't like that generation, because you got the i3 10100F now, much better value, $119, and I guarantee you in Australia, I'm not gonna find an i7 6700 or 7700 for anywhere near 119 bucks. It's just not gonna happen. So we're getting better value on the new market than the used market in that regard. So what you're gonna see here on Tech Yeah City going into 2021 is all these different metas where we're going through and we're combing the used market and seeing where the value lies. And it's most likely going to be with things like Xeons that people don't pay attention to on the mainstream. But then when you say that in an ad, you're like, this is equivalent to such and such PC and CPU in performance. And then you show them the FPS. I'm pretty sure where they're like, okay, well, I can save a couple of $100 going with this guy's gaming PC. Why not? So I think going this year, I'm going to be trying some different kind of curveball stuff because I think in ways I really enjoy it too. That's the main thing. Like, I love doing this stuff in that I like finding all these new little cheap tricks and hacks to get really good price performance. And I hope this year that you guys are on board more than ever due to COVID and raising prices of a lot of different PC parts. So that's one thing. I think the COVID stuff has given me a challenge like no other now. And when you get the yes down and you're like, here's a challenge, man, I'm gonna be like, well, let's do this. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this month's part hunt, the tally. Do let us know in the comment section below, what was your favorite deal? I wasn't like, honestly, I'm a little bit upset that I missed out on those 1060s. I mean, I didn't miss out on them. I can go jump in the car and go waste a heap more time late at night and go pick them up. But it's just like, I mean, even then it's just like, damn, but in ways it's like, why did it have to be the 2 GPUs? And even then, the other guy that stood me up in the other place that we were filming at before, that was a GTX 770 as well. So there's like 3 GPUs that I missed out on that I can get, but I don't know. Anyway, but that guy, also the guy who stood me up just never messaged me back as well. So that one's pretty funny anyway, but the graphics cards, man, the graphics cards. But there is a solution that I am in the works on in terms of getting a bulk buy of RX 570s. I'm working on that right now. It's gonna be an overseas sort of in a massive box kind of thing. So hopefully that comes through because I need GPUs more than ever. And I think everyone else, if they're flipping PCs, you guys out there as well, you're like, I need more GPUs than ever too. Everyone needs graphics cards right now. So please, please, in this way, I think we're gonna update that status. Please, Ethereum crash. Pray to your crypto gods that we get a crash from Ethereum. That'll be the one thing that'll send the GPUs going down, down, down. So one can only pray. Ethereum crash, bring it on, bring it on. And with that aside, guys, I hope you enjoyed this month's used parts hunt for the first Kickstarter of 2021. If you did, then be sure to hit that like button. Also, let us know down below if you got any questions, because we got the question of the day, which comes from SF Chad 1, and they ask, hi Brian, what would be a good cheap motherboard to overclock the X5670 on? And a good motherboard for that is, I personally prefer on the X58, and I've said this a lot in the past as well. A good cheap one would be like the P6T from Asus, entry-level Asus board, but still very solid for overclocking. And these Xeons do work on that board. I'm all for Asus boards when it comes for X58 and overclocking. They're just real good. I've had no problems getting the levels that I want to get, and I've had no like inconsistencies, because I've found on some other motherboards, things can be so finicky, and you lock in something on, even like for instance, I've used the Gigabyte X58 and I'll have all these settings in my head and I'll know they work, and I go to another Gigabyte motherboard and it just doesn't work. That was on X58. So X58, Asus all the way. Deluxe is probably one of my favorite in terms of price performance and going a little bit more than the P6T, but the P6T is definitely like that budget Asus board on X58 that's gonna give you some good gains. Anyway, hope that answers that question, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you stayed this far and you're enjoying that tech yes content, then you know what to do. Hit that sub button, ring that bell, and I'll catch you in another one very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.